So I'm completing the GO2. Going to start on either the front or the top plane. I'm going to recommend the front plane as the base point to start off, just because of how we orient it. I go view normal to, and then turn on my constraints. Seeing the constraints really are necessary on these geometric drawings that we're completing. I'll just hide all of this. So first off, you want to figure out where you're starting from. This won't show up in the video, but at home you can see the drawing here. I'm either starting from the circle on the bottom or the circle on the top. I'm going to go with the one on the lower left, so that bottom, and I'm not going to apply any dimensions yet. So I start by drawing this circle here, and looking at this right here, I can see that I have a 2-inch dimension that goes over, and then a 2 1/8 up to the next one. So what I'll do here is just draw 2 lines to get this into place, or I could just draw another circle floating somewhere over here, and I could define it later. What I'll do though is draw these construction lines, and I'm going to define this one at 2 and this one at 2 1/8, so 2.125, or 2 plus 1 divided by 8. That will get those into location. Then what I'm going to need is a line here. So if I pull this image up, you can see that there's this line of tangency connecting these two together. The way that I'm going to do this is with a series of constraints. So I'll start by just selecting the line tool, and I could hover over this and create this coincident constraint. I don't want it to snap vertical or horizontal to the center though. So I start coincident, and then I'm going to move my cursor over this arc, and I move it around, and you can see there's coincident. If you keep going, eventually the coincident and tangent constraint will appear, and then I could click, and now this right here, this line, is always going to remain tangent to this arc. So if this circle changes in size, that tangency stays. But you can see on the top circle, it doesn't. The top circle, it just stays coincident to that one point. So what I would need to do next is apply a tangency between these two. So I select the line that I already drew. I just click on it. You can see it highlighted now. And then the arc, I'll left click on that. So I've now told the computer I'm selecting these two items. To add my constraint, I go up to the top, choose tangent, and this is going to then make this line tangent to that arc. You can see that it adjusted, and now if I move this arc, that tangency remains. All right, so I still really only have 2 dimensions, and that's for these 2 lines here. I now need 2 more circles. One's over here. I'm not going to apply a dimension yet, and one's over here. Also no dimension yet. So if I pull this image up, you can see these are the 2 circles that I've made. I need a line across the 90-degree quadrant of this circle from the origin over, and that goes up, and it intersects at the quadrant, the 0-degree quadrant of the top circle, and it's tangent here as well. So I'm just going to draw and connect and get that horizontal here. I draw a vertical line, reselect the line tool. This time I'm going from the origin up and over. And now I've pretty much created this entire drawing. There is one more line right here. So you can see that this slightly resembles this drawing here. Now what I need is just to trim, and then I'm going to apply those dimensions. Selecting the trim tool, trim away this part of the arc, this extension, this piece of the arc that I no longer need. And this looks just like what I was showing you guys before. I'm going to look back at the dimensions. This one is 1 1/2, this is 1 7/8. So I'm going to type D for the dimension tool. And up here again, it's 1 1/2 radius. This one is a 1 plus 7 divided by 8, so 1 7/8 radius. Right here I have a 3/8, and here I have a 7/8. All that's missing is this little fillet. So selecting the fillet tool, select right here, left click, and type in my 1/4 inch, so 0.25. And that one would then complete the geometric 2 that we're working on.